Established in 1967, Lombard The Paper People are proud to be one of the few third-generation family-owned companies operating in Australia today. Claude Lombard is the Managing Director of Lombard The Paper People and has steered the business to amazing new heights, including 30 years of straight growth. First of all, Claude, welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
My pleasure. Tell us about your company and the history of it. I mean, you've done a lot of amazing things.
We established in 1967. My father suffered what they call the death of a salesman, when somebody gets a bit too old to be promoted.
Right.
Set up a business in a room about 10 square feet. We were selling paper bags, cups, serviettes, greaseproof paper, butcher's paper. We still supply the children of the original customers. Mm-hmm. And from there, from a small room, we went to a garage. From a garage to a small shop in Johnson Street, a building in Johnson Street. Then we bought a whole lot of little buildings in Johnson Street. And then we moved to we kept buying buildings every 4 or 5 years. We'd expand, and we reach a peak and then expand the business. We were in the sheeting business for a long time. We used to sheet fine paper. We were the largest vendors of butcher's paper in the country 20 years ago. There's no butchers left. Flour paper, we used to sell flour paper. We don't anymore. One of our things that happened to us, Robert Maxwell, the
Yes.
media baron, I was the president of the printing industry at the time, and he said to me, Claude, I got a problem, can I have a look? And he took me to a warehouse that, as far as the horizon could see, there's millions and millions of rolls of paper. He said, do you want it? I said, yeah, okay. Took us 1 year to pick it up. But that started us in the butcher paper business. Took us a year to pick it up every day, 10-ton truck every single day, a year to pick it up. Then from there we outgrew that building, and we bought a place in Brunswick, and we had a 67% growth that year. And the nice part about that story is that the guy who got the sales manager's job that my father didn't get, he actually put a sign on his door, go to Lombard's. So it took us 15 years to catch up and pass them. Wow. I remember he even said to me once, how much can you sell? Because that's another thing that people sometimes panic about competition. How much can your competitor sell? What's his maximum sales capability? How big is his warehouse? First thing, if a guy's got a small warehouse, what can he sell? If he's really clever, he can turn over his stock 6 times, 7 times a year. So the maximum he can do is 7 times what he holds in stock. So anyway, so that's what happened. Then we sold that building and we bought Flemington. And my father was in his 80s then, and he couldn't walk around the site, it was so big, and he said, you bought this site, this one will be the site. Then in the 89, the interest rates went from 12% to 22%, and the value of the property went from 10 million to 2 million, and the banks weren't very kind, but we had the strength, and we said, even though our securities dropped 40, 60, 70%, we can sustain this interest rate. And we used to pay our interest every single day. And the bank manager used to say to me, you're too clever, you pay every day. Because they wanted us to default, we never defaulted. So that taught us how to stay in business. And we were there 14, 15 years, and then we had our fire.
And then you're back on track now?
We're back on track. The fire was started by a machine that's been plugged into the same extension cord for years. It's just one of the things that happened. Caught fire, the building was gone within 3 or 4 hours. Took them 4 days to put the fire out. It was the largest fire in Australia's history. But the secret of it is that we were in business 9:30 the next morning, and we lost all, it was in November, we lost all our Christmas stock. We lost every single product, we lost everything. Except we didn't lose our technology, because we had an aviary in the building. As you know, we got Harry the cockatoo, which is a cute bird. And the aviary saved the technology. And the computers were behind the aviary, and the fire stopped at the aviary. None of the birds were damaged. And we were actually saved because we loved animals. And that. So by 9:30 the next morning, we were back in business.
At that stage, because the fire, it was huge all over Melbourne and Australia. Did you have any doubt in your mind that this is it? Did you think, well, we can't go on anymore? Or did you say to yourself, okay, we've got no choice, we have to move forward?
One of the things, and that we believe in success, and one of the things is what does it cost not to do something? And the one lesson that everybody should learn from a disaster, only 0.4% internationally survive the disaster of our magnitude. 4% survived the first year, and 10% of them survived the second year. And the whole secret about what we did is that you cannot lose 1 minute of trade, because your customers need you and they go somewhere else. Now, the guys who take the business, they'll do a good job, and you may never pick it up again. So I think what saved us is that we didn't allow one single customer to leave us.
What about, okay, 30 years of straight growth? You can actually expand too quickly, get too big too quickly. How did you combat that? I mean, because we often hear about businesses getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All of a sudden they can't handle it, they fall over. So how did you maintain that, the consistency and maintain staying in business?
Okay. First of all, we have very good bankers.
Yep.
And
so finance is very important.
Finance is very important. All industry, nobody makes a lot of money. They make a lot of money, but we spend it, costs are pretty high. But you've got to have good financiers, and you've got to have a good accountant. And if your accountant does a good business plan, you say to the bank, here's the business plan, guys. This is our track record. We said we can do this, and we can do it. This year we've refinanced again, and the bank said, show us your plan. And we said, well, here it is. And by the time they get to read it, we're 2 months into it, and we've shown that our budgeting and our projections are correct. So you need good bankers.
Yep.
And 90% of business with banks is they play the person. And if you're straight and you're good ethics, the bank will support you. And you need people to support you. You need suppliers to support you. During the fire, some of our suppliers are fantastic, and other suppliers were absolute disgrace. I had one bloke turn up the day of the fire with his bill saying to me, this is what you owe me.
That's
and I
terrible.
said, disgusting. So I said to him, the only good thing's happening today is that I'm not going to hit you, because this guy deserved to be decked. Because I've been doing boxing for 3 years, he wouldn't have got up, I know. No way. I mean, so some of the suppliers were disgusting, and some of them were fantastic.
So okay. Is your company then based around, because on one hand you're saying it's the people, it's you and the people that work for you and great service, or is it the product?
No, it's nothing to do with the product.
So it's the people?
It's the people. The product is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what business you're in, it's the people.
Yep.
My staff never leave me. I'm probably too nice to them. But I've got staff 25, 13 years, 26 years. They go on and on and on, And some of them are past their use-by date, but we still keep them and we move them around. People are most important, and we take everything personally, which is probably bad. It's not a good thing. But people are important, and the product is irrelevant. I mean, it doesn't matter what you sell. You've got to sell good service and good quality and give it to them when they want it. And that's it. And it doesn't matter what the product is. So it's for the people, and what you sell is just a commodity, it's nothing.
Okay, the whole group, what do you sell?
Okay, we have 3 divisions. We have a packaging division, which is the majority of our business, about 65% of our business, where we sell paper bags, cups, serviettes, toilet paper, hand towels, foils, glad wrap, garbage bags, and we sell that to the hospitality industry, the fast food industry, hotel industry. Every single building in the city is a customer, every building. Then we have another division, which is the marketing division, which supplies, and this is another thing, and this is why the government were very supportive during the fire. Every time there's an event in Melbourne, we decorate Melbourne. So we were the first to ever decorate for the Grand Prix. We were the first to start off in the spring racing business. We supply the bunting, the posters, the banners, all the decoration for spring racing. We do the same for the AFL now, so all the flags of the football are ours, all the posters, all the cardboard cutouts, they're all ours as well. Grand Prix, Indy, Adelaide 500, Melbourne Show, Sydney Show, all these people that need marketing assistance, this is what we do. So what we do, and it's unique to our business, and actually Judith Griggs from the Grand Prix said, Claude, nobody does this anywhere in the world, because we allow the community to participate in an event where they couldn't possibly do that. I mean, if you wanted to say, come and buy a dress off me because it's spring racing, what would you do? You make a cardboard cutout of a horseshoe or something, but we allow them to take the legitimate stock to decorate so the same as the whole city. So we allow communities to participate in community events. And that's really, we're the only ones in Australia, and probably the only ones in the world who do that. And the third part of our business is the party business. And we're the largest chain of party shops in Australia. We sell more balloons than anybody else. We sell more balloon gas than anybody else. And 90% of what's in our stores is our own. So we have Halloween products, first birthday. I know, I've got to go down the aisles. We have the best masks, hats. We've got the most ridiculous hats. Our Halloween stuff, we advertise Halloween. Halloween is actually bigger than Christmas. Our stuff is disgusting. We've got the worst stuff. And we advertise, we have horrible stuff. It is so bad. We've got ghoulie, we've got meat trays of bits
Excellent.
of
That's
bone and
fantastic.
all that.
I understand.
Enough.
Yes, yeah, enough.
Enough.
But see,
Censored.
the Halloween, I don't need to wear a mask. I just go as I am.
Yeah, I know, but not everybody's blessed.
They call me grandpa to the Munsters.
That's it.
All right, success in a business. If you were to say in a few words, say what is the most important part of being a successful and a business that's been around for a long time, what advice would you give?
Okay. Well, the first thing is what I call knowing which apple on the tree you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a tree and it's covered in apples, and businesses like that, I mean, I can look around here and I can see 15 opportunities. If I wanted to say to sell this, or this, you can't. You've got to focus on one item at a time. And that's the hardest decision. So the number one decision is which apple on the tree do you want. The other decision is something which I love this story, and it's a little bit long. There used to be a company in Melbourne called Benson's Camera Store. And Mr. Benson was in his 70s when I used to call him. And he said to me, you know, Claude, when I was your age and I was in my 20s, he said, I made £1 million. So you're talking about a guy in the 1920s making £1 million, a lot of money. He said, and this story is a good story and people listen to it and they always remember it. He said, when I had £1 million, I decided instead of using black ink in my fountain pen, I would use green ink. He said, the day I used green ink, I started growing broke. And it isn't the green ink that's significant. What is significant is that he changed his attitude. So we've still got the same attitude we had 40 years ago or 50 years ago, where, you know, I get a phone call today from a customer, we're out of Twisties. Now, Twisties are $1.60. Who cares? But the point is that our attitude has never changed and we still have not changed what made us a success. Whether it's good or bad, that's what we do. The other thing which we learned from the fire, and it's very important, and the decision-making process in any company has got to be isolated. What does it cost not to do something? Somebody says to me, we're out of this particular bag, or we've got a problem today, we've got a bag that's not in stock. Customer needs it. We can buy one locally at double the price instead of an imported bag. So the decision is, do you buy it locally and lose money or not? Of course you buy it locally because the customer needs it. So the decision process is very simple. You make up the decision of what does it cost not to do it. Now when we had our fire, the decision, what does it cost not to do it, was the other one. And the other one, interesting, I mentioned to you that we were back in business at 9:30 the next morning. And there's a really nice story that Costa Zoo tells. Picasso was walking through a restaurant and there was a guy there with his wife and she had a big bunch of roses. And she had 18 roses there. And he said, oh, it's our anniversary, do you mind doing a sketch of these roses and my wife? So Picasso got his pen and went, and did this fantastic quick sketch. The guy said, that's amazing, you took 18 seconds to do that. He said, no, I took 37 years to do that.
Fantastic.
Because it's so true. Same as us, we're in business an hour and a half after the fire. But we were actually in business 37 years and an hour and a half. And that's really, there is no such, one of my theories in life is that there's no such thing as quick success. And there's a million quick successes out there. Because they haven't got the runs on the board and they haven't got that base, that pyramid base, one of my other Claude Lombard stupid principles is business should have a wide base. A new business has got a narrow base. New customers, new bankers, new product, new everything. An old business has got a wide base. Old bankers, old products, old customers, old systems, old staff, and associations that give them this huge base. So when something goes wrong, that pyramid's not going to fall over. And it takes time to build up that base. Loyal customers, loyal staff, loyal network around you. So, you know, we believe in stability. We are support. Our bankers, the day after the fire, they gave us more money straight away. And I said to the guy, gee, you guys are good. He said, well, there's not many companies that we go tick, 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 tick. And that was not because we were in business the next day, because in the 80s, when the banks gave us such a hard time, we set up systems that when the insurance company came to us and said, we want to see audited figures for the last 3 years, we want to see your stock figures, we gave them everything that morning of the fire, and they paid us 100 cents in the dollar. Now, nobody gets paid 100 cents in the dollar. We didn't lose 1 cent because there was no argument. There was no dead stock because it was audited. There was everything was documented. So an hour and a half, but 37 years of experience, and that's what it's all about.
If somebody wanted to find out about packaging, about marketing, about party shop, party hire and stuff, how do they do that?
Well, we've got a webpage, www.lombard.com.au.
Yes.
We're in the yellow pages, of course. White page, everything's online these days.
Yes.
We've got offices in every state. So I got a Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, and Melbourne office.
Yes.
Got about 15, I don't know how many stores we've got around Victoria. We've got Mildura and Warrnambool, we just opened Cranbourne.
Right.
Since the fire, which was only a few years ago, we've opened unbelievable number of branches, and we just keep going.
And the future looks great?
Future's fantastic. There's no limit to business. There's absolutely no limit. The only limitation is yourself.
That's right.
And as you said, how do you finance quick growth?
Yep.
You've got to know that if you pick up a new account worth $1 million, say it's worth $1 million a month, you need $2 million of reserve for that. You need $1 million of stock, $1 million for his debtors, that's it. So if you know that, you will survive it.
They were saying if it's going to be, it's up to me.
Absolutely, and if it's got to be, it's got to be. And what do they say?
All day long. I mean, I could get some other sayings out later.
There's a lot of quotes, isn't there?
I'll give my dad a call. There's some great ones.
What'll be, what'll be.
Yeah, or waddle on, waddle on.
That's it, thank you.
Claude, thank you very much.
It's great, thank you very much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a great interview. Thank you very much.